in a while, read a synopsis for you. Without the aid of Republic forces, Ahsoka and Prince Lee Char must unite the Mon Cala people and drive out the Separatist invaders. So this is continuing the Mon Cala story arc, so check out last week's episode if you haven't already. But most of the team is captured, and so they have been brought before Riff Tamsin. So not looking too good for them.
Tamsin! Leave them alone!
Do not worry, Jedi. There's plenty of suffering to go around.
No, those are fun. This is a very intense...
Very dangerous.
Oh yeah, that's one of the biggest things. I love how chill Kit is talking about it. He's like, oh,
Where
electric
is
eels.
Prince Lee Char?
No, Sarai seemed to be harboring some empathy.
He did.
Yes, he was. I think it's a nice little detail that Nosserai, even though he sided with the Separatists, he doesn't necessarily agree with everything the Separatists and mostly Riff Tamsin are doing. And so that is developed more in this episode in particular. But Ahsoka and Prince Lee Char, they're on their own. Right now, they're the only free people in the Republic force, but that's another issue. So Lee Char's trying to figure out what to do, because what can he and Ahsoka really accomplish on their own? So he's having some doubts. Some understandable doubts.
If my father were here, he could unite with Nosserai and the Quarren. The Quarren and Mon Cala have always had a difficult relationship, but it was respectful until Riff Tamsin arrived. Once that Karkadon got inside Nosserai's head, the alliance between the Mon Cala and Quarren fell apart.
That's sad. That
I
they
know
used
what
to
I
be
must do.
allies and
The
now...
Mon Cala and Quarren people must be reunited.
Okay, I like your thinking, but what's the strategy?
Count all the prisoners. Mon Cala, Gungans, clones. If we all fought together, we would outnumber our opponent.
If this is going to work, we'll need to let your people know. They'll have to be ready to fight.
Yeah, so they're coming up with a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Prince Lee Char is taking charge.
Mm-hmm.
Not that he has much of an army to rally behind him, but he's trying to solve that. So props to Lee Char. It's interesting that the Quarren and Mon Cala used to be allies, or maybe begrudging allies. But then Riff Tamsin seduced them with the idea of their own kingdom, essentially. But I don't think Nosserai really calculated the cost of that. And neither did the Mon Cala, or the Mon Calamari, excuse me. Because they thought that this war wasn't really going to happen, and then it did. But that's mostly Riff Tamsin's fault. It's not entirely on Nosserai. Not yet, anyway. But Ahsoka and Lee Char, they go to the prisoners to try and rally them to fight. And it's quite a shocking development, because it's
Prince Lee Char? Are you a prisoner here as well?
I am here, but not as a prisoner. I've come with a message. As your future king, I have not lost hope. The time is coming when you will be free again. I will not fail you.
We want to believe, but how can this be possible?
Commander Tanu.
Monk, am I glad to see you?
Yes, Commander, but you both must come with me now. You'll attract too much attention here, and I think there's someone who'll be happy to see you.
Prince, you can't leave us here.
Have courage. The next time I appear to you, I will appear as your king.
That's a big promise. A
Yeah!
statement to make. He's not exactly in the position to make a promise like that. But I guess in some regards things are looking up. They're going to Akbar, obviously. And he's trying to give the people hope. But yeah, he's really banking on the fact that he's not going to be killed in the process. But maybe they'd rally behind him even if he was dead. They probably would if they were free, actually. But I like that Lee Char's really stepping into his position as the Mon Cala king. Even though the Quarren and specifically Rift Tamsin, are on the throne currently, he's still, still going around saying that he's going to be their king, which is either naive and incredibly foolish or pretty brave of him. I'll go with the latter just to be optimistic. So they go to Akbar, and Leechar's trying to convince him to fight because things still look pretty dire for them.
We are prisoners. If we revolt, thousands would die.
Not if the Quarren struck first and aided in our attack.
Prince, how can you say this? The Quarren betrayed us. They assassinated your father.
No, Captain. Rift Tamsin murdered my father. Of that, I am sure.
The Quarren are being used. I've seen it happen before. Captain Dooku has deceived them.
Rift Tamsin murdered my father. We'll find no Sarai. He was my father's friend. I know he will listen.
How can you be certain of this?
How can you be certain of this? But it's time for me to leave. And this, I feel, is my only course of action.
But Captain, you're injured.
Our future king.
Yeah, but how most of the Mon Cala think bad about the Quarren
Yeah,
just because of what
they've done.
they've done to the.
But Leechar is still holding out hope, specifically for No Sarai. And when you think about that, it's really sad that No Sarai still went through with all of this, especially since they're taking over everything Leechar's father built. And if Rift Tamsin killed Leechar's father, and No Sarai knew and went along with it, there are some issues there. But Leechar's really, really holding out hope for No Sarai. And so they are captured and brought before Rift Tamsin and No Sarai. So Leechar is obviously going to try and convince No Sarai to fight.
I do not seek, nor do I want your respect. I have come to demand the freedom of my people.
Your people. You are mistaken, Prince. They are my people, and under my rule. They, like you, are nothing more than slaves.
Your rule is not recognized here, Tamsin. My people are all those who live in these seas, whether they be Mon Cala or Quarren.
Surely,
The
you have
knowing
not come
glance.
here seeking the aid of No Sarai. Do you really think he betrayed his position to join you?
The Quarren are already slaves, though they may not see it. No, Sarai, you knew my father. Whatever differences our people had in the past, surely you must know we can work together to make Mon Cala whole. Dooku and Tamsin want only to exploit us and leave our cities broken and our resources depleted. What will then be left for the Quarren?
That's an interesting what Leechar is saying. Rift Tamsin isn't gonna do anything to help the Quarren,
Yeah, he's not.
and yet No Sarai
Mm-hmm.
is allied with him just because he thinks it's gonna bring him success.
Yeah, and so Leechar's plan is to try and show No Sarai that the Quarren aren't going to be the victorious group in this war. That's Rift Tamsin. That's the separatist. And you can see Rift Tamsin sitting on that throne, not No Sarai, not a Quarren. So even the Quarren are fighting for something that's not going to happen. And it seems like No Sarai is beginning to realize that. Whether or not Rift Tamsin believes that he actually will join Leechar, No Sarai is realizing that Rift Tamsin isn't fighting for him. Rift Tamsin's fighting for himself, as do all separatists, essentially, aside from the dear Lux Bonteri. But Leechar is sentenced to be executed to eliminate the hope of the Mon Calamari, but someone may decide to aid them. We'll just have to see.
Captain, No Sarai and the Quarren are with you.
Leechar really utilized his one speech with No Sarai to bring about lasting change. This is pretty messed up. He's a child. Yeah, it's Whoa! I didn't know Leechar was a sharpshooter. Yes, they are revolting against Rift Tamsin. And now it's not Quarren versus Mon Calamari, it's everyone in the sea versus one shark, essentially, and his robot army. But what matters is that No Sarai joined them, because No Sarai realized that he wasn't going to gain anything by staying with the Separatists. And Dooku was really only promising Rift Tamsin the throne, not the Quarren. And so the next best thing is Lee Char, essentially, the Child King. But just because the Quarren were helping them doesn't mean that they're going to win, because Rift Tamsin is facing off against baby Lee Char, which not looking too good for either of them.
Prince,
That's messed up.
Your rule was at an end before it started, Tamsin.
This is adorable. Gosh, this poor kid.
I killed your father without pity or mercy. I killed your
I'll return the favor.
pity or mercy.
I'll return the favor.
This kid is so badly. Now he's a murderer. Aw,
That was
messed up.
intense.
Yeah, Lee Char isn't innocent anymore,
Yeah,
that's
but
for sure.
Lee Char got the throne. That's what
Yeah,
matters.
he's crowned our king. Mon Calamari and Quarren are going to live in harmony now until the next Separatist leader comes to take over Mon Cala, which may or may not happen. Who knows? But this is an interesting story arc. It is very different from what Clone Wars usually does. And the political side of this story arc really sets the tone for season 4 in general. But I've enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see where we go next. Thanks for watching! Please leave a comment, turn on notifications, and hit the subscribe button to support the channel. Also, thanks to our sponsor, Dave Filoni. We couldn't have done